dystopian nightmare, unfortunately, has begun. I'm going to explain this to you in 3 simple, fast steps. And make sure you stay to the end of this video because I'm going to show you how you can push back against FedCoin, the authoritarians, and the central planners to make sure they're not stealing your freedom. All right, let's get right into the whiteboard. Step number 1, let's go over how the current system works. And the reason I'm going to focus on the current system is because at the beginning of this pilot program the Fed is launching for a central bank digital currency, or for FedCoin, starts with distributed ledger technology. To hear them explain it in their own words, let's go right to the New York Fed's website. Editor, let's cut to the internet. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York today announced that its New York Innovation Center, which is basically just a branch or department of the New York Fed, will participate in a proof of concept project to explore the feasibility of an interoperable network of central bank wholesale digital money, i.e. CBDC, and commercial bank digital money operating on a shared multi-entity distributed ledger. In other words, this whole pilot program is about them testing this new distributed ledger, or at least this is what they want you to believe.
Shalom, Kahala Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Ruach. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, with the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the MOTB spoken about in Revelations 13 and 16. And as you could see from that video I just showed you, Esau, right, Edom, which is the biblical name for the Caucasian race, has already initiated the system that's going to lead to the MOTB money system. Okay, let's read this. This is 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. Least Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And this CBDC system that Edom is trying to set up is one of his devices, which he's planning on using to ensnare the entire world into perpetual slavery. Okay? Because you see, right now the world is using the old world money system where there's physical fiat currency, right? And that the current system that we're on right now is not even one of the original money systems that this current society has used, right? We used to have something called tally sticks, okay, where there's literal sticks with little marks on them called tallies, right? When it goes back to old England and stuff, right? And then eventually it would go on, it would move over to silver and gold certificates, which eventually were made into dollars, which were simply receipts for silver or gold, which eventually got phased out during the 70s under Nixon, President Nixon that is. And now we are simply trading receipts for debt, right? Receipts of debt, because that's basically what the US dollar is today. It's basically just a debt note, okay? And what the next step is going to be to digitize it, so that way these devils don't even have to print anything anymore, okay? Or even mint any type of coinage, and everything will be digital. And along with that digital system will come the devices of control, right? They'll be able to dictate how you spend the money. They'll be able to see where and to whom you've paid money to, and they'll be able to inventory all items that have been bought and sold with the said system. But again, shouldn't come as a surprise to all of you, well, especially if you've been watching these videos for any time now, because again, this is something that we have said over and over and over again, starting with the apostles, starting with Abba Bivens back in the 50s and 60s, and they, like I said again, on down to the apostles of today, right? This is something that we've continually spoken about over and over again, right? And sadly, there's been a lot of set up organizations, right? Even Hebrew organizations who have been set up to mislead our people, to basically put out misinformation and also doubt, okay? Because this is the truth of the Bible, right? That ultimately the devil, right, the deceivers of this world, being Edom, right, will put out tons of misinformation, because again, they can't change the word of the Lord, right, because of its spiritual power. But what they can do is put out as much misinformation or fake news as they'd like, right? And they're hoping that in paying these sold out Hebrew Israelite schools, FOPI for one, for example. Another one would be ISUPK, the IUIC most likely, and just some of these other groups that you could tell obviously have taken the bag. The groups who are out there basically misleading our people from the truth, right? The established truths of the things that are very clear, right? Because it is very clear what the MOTB is, right? Especially nowadays, right? With the announcement that we just seen in this video at the beginning of this lesson, and also with the executive order that Biden signed into law last year, which goes into effect next month, right? Which is going to permit the government to get in on the CBDC, ecosystem. Okay, and again, more likely in mid 2023, we're going to see a broad implementation of the U.S. digital dollar. Okay, but let's read this. This is Ezekiel 33 and 33. And when this comes to pass, lo, it will come. Then shall they know that a prophet hath been amongst them. Right? And this is ultimately going to be to all those scoffers, all those Israelites who have decided to rest on their emotions, let their ego be their guide, right? Let their vanity of wanting to follow the best dressed Israelites, or the Israelites who are the most well spoken, is going to come and bite them in the ass, right? They're going to realize who the true Israelites, or the true prophets, of the Lord are, right? That being the apostles of Great Millstone, and all those who teach what they teach, okay? And this is what we've been telling you, Akim, out there, right? That these devils, these Edomites out there, they're coming for our souls. And how they're going to do that? Well, it's going to be by, doing that ancient, ritual of basically of stabbing you through with a mark, right? Again, because when you read the Bible, the old laws said that if a servant loved his master and would not want to leave, that the master would have to, basically strike his ear through with an awl, right? AWL, right? Basically, it's like an ice pick, right? Well, these mark of the beast, right, which is going to be the RFID microchip and also the implantable brain chip, right? Neuralink is just one of these companies that are creating this. These are your digital awls, right? These are the digital mark that will eventually, replace that spiritual art, right? Or the spiritual awl, and will ultimately trap up your soul to Esau, okay? And hence you've now joined yourself onto the beast, and the Lord will have no other option but to destroy you along with this beast system, which he's already planning on doing, right? So that being said, we have to, be careful on how we're walking in these days, right? These devils are going to make it very difficult to operate in their system, right? But again, as the Bible says, that the elect will not be taken, okay? Now, what that means is that you have to strive to be in that group. And how do you do that? Well, you try your best to keep the laws as best as to the best of your ability, knowing that we can't keep the laws perfectly as we're in captivity in this current world, but nonetheless trying the best we can, right? Understanding that we have grace to make up for our shortcomings, right? Also, calling upon the true Hebrew names of the Lord and the Messiah, that being Yahweh, right, which is Hebrew for He is, and Yahweh Shai, which is Hebrew for He is salvation. Those are the true Hebrew names of the Messiah and the Lord, right? The Son and the Father. And again, you have to know these, and again, because these are the spiritual mark of exemptions that will keep you from this judgment, from keep you from the hour of temptation, right? If you're a man in this truth, you have to seek to try to, teach this truth. If you've gotten it in your spirit to go out and teach, right? If you've gotten enough of this information, enough where you're out there, giving out, scriptures out, correcting people on certain things, then hey, you're good enough, you're well versed enough to teach. You may want to start off by doing video lessons, right? And then eventually go out to the street and, just read. You don't have to read to a big crowd. You can just read anywhere on a highway and a byway, right? Where people are, right? You don't have to go in front of, your neighborhood, but you could always go to the next city over or wherever the Spirit leads you. If you're a woman, what is required of you? Well, the Bible says that you are to serve your husband, right? That, our understanding today is that your husband would be the man that you're dealing with, that being, your boyfriend, the man you're talking to, basically the man you're sleeping with, right? That would be your, quote unquote husband, okay? Now, if you have no husband, then hey, just try to, listen to these lessons, but you don't have to do too much. See, that's the beautiful thing for you women out there, right? Not much is required of you, but to be in order and to, and to just simply just listen to these words. You don't have to be out there trying to make lessons or, try to, like IUIC, have, be on the marketing team. Like, what is that, man? No, the Lord does not require the women to be on a marketing team to be saved. No, the Lord requires the women to be in order. And how do women be in order? By paying attention to what the Bible says, trying to learn this lesson. Ideally, you want to be under your father. If you already have been dealing with a man, you have to be under that man, right? And again, if you haven't dealt with the man, yet, but you're going to meet up with somebody, it would behoove you to deal with a man in this truth. It would because it will make your walk and your salvation that much more sure. Because again, why? Because, like it or not, the woman's salvation is going to be largely based upon the man that they join themselves onto. Now, again, if that doesn't mean you have to be with the man, but it would make it a lot easier, right? If you're going to be doing this on your own, then you have to be that, chaste virgin, right? Not saying that you physically have to be a virgin, but you have to simply, give up that city girl life. That's all I'm going to say. But enough upon that, right? Because again, we all have to be aware of what's coming. And what is coming is this. Let me read it. This is Revelations 13 and 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. This is the 666. Okay? So, remember, this is something that's coming up, Akim. It's you can see, if you have eyes to see, if the Lord has blessed you with understanding, right, then you could see the writing on the wall. You could see that these devils are setting the system up. So that means that you got to start preparing yourself spiritually and physically, right? Start, withdrawing some of your money. Put it into something that's going to be usable, right? Food, supplies, gold and silver, as Apostle Tahara said, right? Buying the things you need now, right? But, that's pretty much it, Akim. I'm sure we've all heard this, but again, you're going to continue to hear this, but this is enough for now. So hopefully this video was edifying, Akim. Till next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakok Radash, double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.